कौन बोल रहा है?
राजेश बोलता हूँ।
राजेश नाना बोल रहा हूँ, छोटा राजन बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ, कौन?
राजन बोल रहा हूँ, छोटा राजन बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ, बोलिए।
क्या हुआ, वो किमजी को पैसा दिए कि नहीं?
किमजी को काय का पैसा देने का भाई?
अरे वो जमीन का जो सौदा हो गया था वो
भाई, उसको हमारा कुछ देने का ही नहीं है, उसका कुछ पैसा ही नहीं निकलता है भाई। हमने तो जमीन किसी और से खरीदा है।
किससे खरीदा?
ओ, जो मेन ओनर है, लीगल ओनर है, उससे के पास से लिया है भाई।
तुम लोग समझ में आ रही तुम लोग के?
नहीं भाई, लेकिन उसको कुछ, वो कभी मीता सिंह आके पैसा मांगती है, कभी वो किमजी पैसा मांगता है भाई, उसका कुछ।
वो मीता सिंह गई खड्डे में, मेरा वो किमजी मेरा आदमी है।
नहीं, लेकिन भाई कुछ
पैसा पहुंचा दे, नहीं तो मार डालूंगा।
नहीं भाई, लेकिन उसको कुछ देने का निकलता नहीं है तो
मेरे लिए काम कर रहा है, मेरा वो कर रहा है, तो जरा भी अभी नाटक करेगा ना तो मार डालूंगा।
नहीं, 7 में तो नहीं, उसको नहीं, उसको बोला 8 से कम नहीं देना
भाई। वो 7 मिलियन की ऑफर दे रहे हैं अपने को।
नहीं, 7 में तो नहीं, उसको नहीं, उसको बोला 8 से कम नहीं देना।
What you just heard were voices of Dawood Ibrahim and Chota Rajan, demanding what can only be described as extortion money. The 90s were a time of gangsters and mafia dons. These men wielded tremendous money and power and ran their businesses through the currency of fear. Threats were an everyday thing, killings were commonplace. That is, of course, not to say that they were not lucrative businesses. Drugs, arms, illegal real estate, illegally financed films, it ran into hundreds of crores. Then, of course, came the era of cleansing. Massive gang wars made sure a lot of them were eliminated, and the cops did the rest. In fact, over the last decade, mafia, gangsters, extortion, and wars have at best been stories for mass consumption, harrowing in their brutality, fascinating in their power play. But, cut to March this year.
Rajasthan and the Rajasthan police arrested 3 members of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang operating in Ganganagar on the border with Punjab. This after a shootout took place late last night. The gang had allegedly been threatening and trying to extort money from a businessman and the police and gangsters.
A year-long probe by the National Investigation Agency revealed in March that a situation similar to one in the Dawood days was now being created again. This was the Bishnoi gang, headed by Lawrence Bishnoi. The gang, a small-time criminal outfit in the 90s, is now the new face of extortion and gangster syndicates in India. And if anyone had been unaware of the name Lawrence Bishnoi, what happened last Saturday made sure that wasn't the case anymore.
News that's coming in. Prominent Mumbai politician shot dead. Baba Siddiqui was shot at.
Moving to India now, the killing of senior leader of the opposition Nationalist Congress Party, who was also a former minister, Baba Siddiqui, in Mumbai on Saturday night has sent out shockwaves.
And why not? A high-profile killing of such massive proportions had not happened since T-Series founder Gulshan Kumar was shot dead in August 1997. So, why is the Bishnoi gang being connected to the killings? How does it operate? And is the era of gangster extortion coming back to India? All this and more in today's episode. It's Friday, the 18th of October. I'm your host, Anirban Chaudhary. This is The Morning Brief. First up, I spoke to Rashmi Rajput, ET's in-house sleuth for financial crimes and all things nasty. Hi Rashmi, very warm welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you so much, Anirban. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Absolutely, the pleasure's ours. So, okay, talking about this very, very high-profile, much talked about killing of Baba Siddiqui that happened recently, and the multiple stories, theories, etc. that it has spawned. Let me start by asking you a very basic question. What is the suspected role of Bishnoi gang in the killing?
So the police had made certain arrests in the case. Now these people, they are allegedly connected to the Bishnoi gang. The alleged mastermind, who has been identified as Shubhan Lonkar, is a mid level operative of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, and he is the one who has provided the logistical support, also got the men to do the firing. So he's the one who has arranged for the weapons, the logistics, and also the entire thing, the target, and all of that. So, therefore, the police suspects that the people that are involved are those of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. But having said that, they're not yet been able to figure out the motive behind the killing, as in why Mr. Baba Siddiqui was killed, what is the reason, whether it is because Lawrence Bishnoi gang wants to create a presence or dominance in Mumbai because there is this a vacuum in the extortion business space, so to say, and therefore it is tapping that to fill, or whether they have already in the past said about their target of a Bollywood actor and Mr. Siddiqui's closeness to that actor. Was that the reason behind this particular killing? Or whether in this particular case, the suspected main accused, who is Shubham Lonkar, whether he was a lone wolf in the sense that there is one angle of alleged political rivalry or business rivalry that could be behind Mr. Siddiqui's killing, which is basically got to do with the SRA project, that is the Slum Rehabilitation Development Project, in which his son had a that is Zishan Siddiqui had protested last month, and post the protest Zishan was also extended security cover by the police. Of course he enjoys the security cover, but post this incident the security has been upgraded. These are the various angles, but of course having said that, it is amply clear so far with whatever arrests that have been made that it is the handiwork of people who are connected to the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. The 2 points, why was Mr. Siddiqui the target and what for, is the main focus of the Mumbai police's investigation.
Got it, got it. So, Rashmi, what do we know about the Bishnoi gang? I mean, who are its kingpins and how does the gang really operate?
So the main kingpin, so to say, of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang is Lawrence Bishnoi himself, and he is lodged currently at the Sabarmati jail in Gujarat. And the other gang members are close relatives of him. The main person being his brother Anmol, and he's apparently in Canada or America. There is no clarity on that bit, but he is managing the operations from there. And then there are these various associates of him who are actually part of the main hierarchy, so to say, and they are the one who are calling the shots. And then you have this level operatives who kind of execute the plans here, and then there are foot soldiers. Now let me just explain you how the Lawrence Bishnoi gang works. The Lawrence Bishnoi gang, they have an ecosystem. They do have separate modules, so to say, which you operate differently, and every module they have a very defined job. So one module is not aware about what the other does. Like for example, in the Salman Khan case, when the firing happened in April, that was not just one module which was deployed in Mumbai. There was apparently one more module which was near his farmhouse in Panvel, and in those modules also there were sub modules which were carrying out like recce reconnaissance of the area, his farmhouse. There was another module that provided the logistical support, the third module that provided the weapons. So there are these different kind of modules that come together and work. It is like an ecosystem, and they work in a very organized way. So it is a very sustainable, so to say, and very organized kind of a syndicate that is at play.
Understood. When it's very clear that the Bishnoi gang has done it, why is it so difficult for the cops to catch them?
That's a very interesting question, Aaron. But of course, they have made the arrest. They have arrested people who are connected to the case. But strangely, so to say, the main shooter has managed to flee. The hunt for the mastermind, that is this guy called Shubhan Lonkar. Now, in April, when there was a shooting incident that happened outside the residence of Salman Khan, post that incident, because it was a clear cut case of the involvement of Lawrence Bishnoi gang, because Anmol himself had claimed responsibility. Post that, of course, they wanted to question Lawrence Bishnoi in this matter. So they reached out to the concerned state police, but they were not allowed to interrogate him because there is a particular provision under the CRPC which was cited saying that if there is an intended fear And if the person who is under custody feels that he is not safe in the custody of the police that wants to take him, then there is a provision that he should not be allowed the custody, and that provision has been extended by the central government for the next 1 year. So it is difficult for the Mumbai police. Even despite this case, the police is of course trying to make an attempt to get access to Lawrence Bishnoi, but that seems to be a little difficult. And that is also strange because here is a person who is managing the operations from a jail in your neighboring state. And there has been, the audio tapes of him being leaked where he's speaking to his associate, and these tapes were when he is lodged in a jail. So all these access are questionable, and this raises a larger question not just for the city police or the state police, but also for the central agencies, or about why such a person is given this free hand.
And it's strangely connected with other political stories also. For instance, Canada making all sorts of accusations of an alleged nexus between, the Bishnoi gang and government agencies. Isn't that bad optics right now?
Yes, it is. It is, of course. And, for a city like Mumbai, which goes to poll next month, an incident like this kind of exposes its police, kind of also is not a good thing for a financial capital to have an incident where a person who is part of the incumbent is shot. Because when you're part of the incumbent government, that is the ultimate insurance you have for your safety. But despite that, if you're shot in broad daylight during a festival, it kind of shows that there has been some kind of intelligence failure on the part of the city police or the state police. And also, the Lawrence Bishnoi gang is something that is not just tracked by the city police but also various other agencies, including the NIA, including the Delhi police. So, when there are so many agencies trying to track this particular gang, they are not being able to find that there was this person who was being reckied, and there was this imminent attack that was going to happen, and there was no information. So what is surprising is that just a fortnight ago we saw a lot of mock drills that happened in the city, where there were these bomb threats, so to say. Of course they were mock drills, and they were in the areas of Zaveri Bazaar, a lot of areas in South Mumbai, and this was done based on specific intelligence input. So when you had intelligence input and the city police acting on it, despite that, if there was no input on this particular attack, that kind of shows the void on the part of the city police to not have that kind of mechanism to get that kind of input. That kind of exposes the system on multi levels, I would say.
And, this sort of, for many, this harks back to the 90s, when the days of the gang wars and the extortion calls and the mafia battles. Do you think, at least in part, it's a return to that time? At least the extortion bit, do you think the Lawrence Bishnoi gang will use this as a way of making its presence felt in the illegal extortion business again in Mumbai?
See, it is too early to say, but what has happened, Anirban, the gangs are no more the quintessential gang wars that are happening, just, killing people or shooting people down. Now they have become more sophisticated. They have kind of metamorphosized. Like, if I have to speak about the Dawood gang in the 90s or 2000s were responsible for gang wars. But if you see in 2000, what happened in Mumbai is that Mumbai witnessed many terror attacks, and there were many attacks that were carried out by Indian terror organization, the Indian Mujahideen, so to say. And many of these Indian Mujahideen members were actually the members of Dawood Ibrahim gang, who then made it their way to Indian Mujahideen. So many of these people have kind of changed their roles. And then now what has happened is these gangs are into much more organized crimes. Like, they are into illegal betting, they are into drug trafficking, they are into human trafficking, and these are big ticket businesses. Like, if I have to peg like online betting business, in which the underworld plays a very important role, it would be nothing less than 10,000 crores. And that is the kind of money we're talking. They are not only just using the quintessential Hawala module, which were used from the 90s, but they're also using new technologies like cryptocurrency or the use of dark web. So they have also changed over the years. Now, but what has happened with the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, that because in the 90s there was this figure called Chota Rajan in Mumbai, who kind of touted himself as the Hindu Don. And with his arrest, there is no more dominance of the Chota Rajan gang in India. But of course, there is that void of Hindu Don, so to say. And Lawrence Bishnoi is trying to create that persona, that image, and use that to his advantage. And of course, there is a fear amongst the police that this might be used for an extortion business because Mumbai, a city, it's a financial capital. It houses the big Bollywood personalities, and you have the businessmen, the builders. So all this then become a huge, so as to say, a pie for extortion business. And once you do some like a big ticket killing, like of Mr. Siddiqui, then it kind of already brings you in limelight. So that works as a good press, so to say, for them. And suppose if tomorrow anybody gets a call from somebody saying that I am a Lawrence Bishnoi gang member, that person would be scared and he might just cough up the money that is required or that has been told to him to do so. So that is something that the police is concerned about. And for them, the only way to go about is to find out a way to neutralize this Lawrence Bishnoi gang in whichever way they could and till whatever extent they can.
Next up, D. Shivanandan, former police commissioner of Mumbai and a super cop largely credited with the cleansing of the mafia syndicates of the city. Hi, Mr. Shivanandan. Very warm welcome to the Morning Brief podcast. So glad you could make time.
Good morning, and thanks a lot for taking me on your podcast.
Thank you, sir. The pleasure's ours. Okay, now you've been credited. I mean, you're a super cop. There is no other word to describe you. And you've been, credited with cleansing almost Mumbai of the underworld in the 90s. And you know the nerves of the underworld and the mafia like very few other people in the country. So from your experience, just wanted to ask you, how do you think the Bishnoi gang operates, or how do gangs like these really operate that makes them so effective?
Anirban, I have seen them grown to the peak in 97, 98, 99, 2001. And in the year 98, when I came as Joint CP Crime, they had used the gun to kill 101 businessmen in 12 months. That makes every 3.5 days, one businessman was shot dead like Baba Siddiqui now. Then we did all the cleansing operation as you had told earlier. And when I left in 2002 or so as Joint CP Crime, since then to now, there has been no shootout of this nature at all, except one of a journalist called J. Day. Maybe in 2014 it happened. That is the only exception. Otherwise, no businessman was shot dead at all. So there was no extortion calls also for either buying a car or for a flat or for extravagant life or making profit or otherwise. Nothing. They were completely in peace. So much so, the younger generation of 23, 24 years old now, they just don't know what is mafia and what is extortion, what is shootout and killing and things like that. So with that as a background, this sudden jerk which was given to Mumbai by the Lawrence Bishnoi gang is a shocker. Now, answering your question, the Mumbai Mafia to the peak in 1998 took about 40, 50 years to grow. But the fear psychosis is there in the city because it has been happening in Delhi. If you saw in the last 1 or 2 years in Delhi, Rohini Court, somebody was shot, then somebody else was shot. All those things have been happening there. So there is a shadow of such kind of things happening elsewhere. And the Mumbaikar suddenly woke up to this shootout. So I must tell you that if there is a vacuum which was there unfilled for a long time, these guys are trying to fill it up.
So how soon and how harshly do you think the government will come down on them?
That question is beginning to be answered. The route was very, very well laid earlier. I have used MPDA, that is detention, for 1 year. 1,600 gangsters were detained for 1 year. That is 1,600 man-years was put behind the bars. We recovered 2,600 illegal firearms like these Glock pistols and AK-47s and various other weapons. I brought an MCOCA Act, which is very, very powerful and detrimental to the gangsters. And then I brought the famous telephone tapping capability of the international lines. Added to that, Mr. Anirban, is that the growth in technology has been phenomenal. So the police and the government and the law enforcing agencies can use the phenomenal growth of technology and put a full stop to this kind of a vicious growth of this kind of gangsters. Whether it is Lawrence gang or any other gang, it is possible for the Mumbai police and for others to use all these strategies and put a full stop. It is now for the government and for the others to take a call how best they can handle this gang.
Do you think the cops and the authorities need to sort of deploy very different ways of nabbing and controlling them?
I agree with you because the gangs, if they're using the most modern technological tools, the government and the police and others have access to much better technology than a gang. Because the sky is the limit for the police and the government to use the technology and see that this is nipped in the bud. Even the new law, which is made, BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, is very useful, very, very handy. That's very, very pro-police. Maharashtra Organized Crime Control Act also is very, very pro-police. But then there is a very important section where a criminal giving confession to a DCP is admissible as evidence. No other law has that. The Maharashtra police has that tool in their hands. Now it is for the police to deploy all that. To answer your question in one line, yes, the police can have an upper hand any time, provided they have the determination and they want to do it.
Understood. Last question to you, sir. You said there is an apprehension of extortion coming back to Mumbai, which is, also because it's the financial capital and there are soft targets. Can we also extrapolate, if it's not curbed soon, then, gang wars may also come back?
So as of now, there is only one gang which is being patronized by the media and the people and various others. There is no opposite gang to go there and shoot. So now it is only police versus Lawrence Bishnoi gang. Earlier what happened, Anirban, it was started by Karim Lala, then Dawood Ibrahim, then Varadarajan Mudaliar, Haji Mastan, then Arun Gawli, then Ashwin Naik, and Amar Naik. So many gangs had come in one particular geography and they were fighting for Chota Rajan also included. So that was the existence of multiple gangs. So gang war had happened. Now, as we are discussing, there's only one gang which is visible. That is this Lawrence Bishnoi gang. So it will be an evolutionary process for any other gang to come with the firepower and put up a war and all. As on today, I will say there is no scope of a gang war because no other gang is existing to put up a war against this Lawrence Bishnoi gang.
Absolutely, sir. And thank you so much for your insights.
Thanks a lot and have a great day.
That's it for today. You were listening to this episode on The Morning Brief. It was produced by Surohini Jain and sound designed by Rajas Nayak. A new episode of The Morning Brief drops every Tuesday, Thursday and Friday on a listening platform of your choice. Do subscribe so you don't miss a single one. Also, new podcast alert. The Economic Times, in collaboration with the Bombay Stock Exchange, has started a new series called ET Wealth and Beyond. A limited series wherein ET's markets editor Nishant Vasudevan talks to the biggest names from the world of investing on everything from tip trading to futures and options to the rise of the woman investor to passive investing to the dynamics of investing after retirement. The first episode on the perks and pitfalls of tip trading is out on a website called etwealthandbeyond.com. In this episode, Nishant talks to BSE's Chief Regulatory Officer Kamala K and veteran investor Vijay Kedia on how you can navigate your way through genuine and dubious stock tips. All episodes are produced by us. That's the same team that gets you the morning brief and our daily news capsule 7 at 7. Like the other two, all episodes in this series will also be available on all audio platforms where you get your podcasts. So spend your time this weekend listening to not one, not two, but 3 offerings from ET Podcasts. Have a good one.